I'm back in the garage with another stupid winter project. It's about 4 degrees outside, and I just pulled in that. That is a 1982 Volkswagen Rabbit 5-speed manual diesel, which is, in my opinion, the cream of the crop of terrible 80s cars. I've got no idea if it runs. The wiring inside of it's a mess. I've got the battery on a charger, and I'm about to see if it'll crank up. Before I crank it up, I thought I'd let you guys get a look inside of it. So, there is our teeny tiny little diesel engine, and here is an awful rat's nest of wiring that somebody did who knows how long ago. It's just chaos. I'm totally terrified of what it has in store for us. Best I can tell, this car should run. It was last registered in April of this year. It's got a new fuel filter. There's a new oil filter crammed down under there. The battery's pretty new, so everything should be good. Come around it. It's a nice kind of burnt orange reddish color. And it's not in great shape. We got a giant gouge in the hood and a big dent here on the side. So it's a beater, but it's a little 4-door wagon. Pop it open. You can see in the dark there. Got a sweet burnt orange red matching velvet interior for all your 80s glory. So yeah, it's a pretty sweet rig, all told. Yeah, I'm gonna put you guys back on the shelf, and you can see if this thing will start up with me. All right, I've let it warm up for a little bit, so let's see if it'll start. Well, looks like that wiring rat's nest is going to be a bit of a problem for me. We've got power, battery's good, but no crank, not even trying. So, could be neutral safety switch, it could be a disconnect between the battery and the starter, poor ground, could be anything. So, I'm going to get under there, I'm going to fiddle around and see if I can't figure out what's not working. It didn't take me long to find something that was amiss. I checked the starter wiring, and this wire just flopped right off. And this, through that awful rat's nest, appears to be wired to this sketchy switch in the cabin, which I think I've correctly guessed is the starter for this car. So I'm going to have to trace this back to make sure there's no disconnects in this wire, and make sure it's properly all hooked up to the starter, and then we'll try again and see if we can't get it to start. Oh, Volkswagen passes another emissions test. Let's go, baby. All it took was a little friend some ether. We got her cranked up. Got a little bit warmer now. Sounding a bit better. Heck yeah. Okay, so welcome back. Still working on the little Rabbit today. I got it fired up yesterday. Just took a little bit of starting fluid and some cranking. Good charged battery. Fired right up. It runs pretty good, surprisingly, for how old of a car it is. And then we took it out and we drove it around just to see, what's wrong with it, what do we need to fix, that kind of stuff. Mechanically, it's a pretty sound car. Electrically, it's in awful shape. From what I can tell, the radiator fan doesn't work, the wiring or the motor is non-functional on that. My gauges, my temperature gauge and my fuel gauge just kind of died at some point throughout the day. The lights, I don't know how many of them work, the blinkers don't work, and any host variety of other random electrical stuff. So this morning I'm gonna go to the store, gonna buy some wires, some connectors, that kind of stuff, and then I'm just gonna dig into it and start, fixing things, cleaning stuff up, and that way I can get a new baseline for what needs work with the electrical and what doesn't. Alrighty, so I've been messing around with the wiring here a little bit. I pulled the radiator fan off because I couldn't get it to spin with a 9 volt. So like there's the shroud down there. So I took the fan off, I got it out, and it doesn't really want to spin, but I put it on the battery starter. I just connected that to the leads here on the end, and I got it spinning. So this is functional, but the bearing's bad and it's kind of dirty, so it doesn't spin very well. But it works, which is all I need to know. So now I'm tracing this connector back to where it grounds and the fuses and relays back in the car. It looks like it grounds here for some odd reason. So I kind of clean that up and then check the fuse in the cab, which is in good shape. So I'm going to double check the wiring and then just put it back together. And I don't really want to start up the car right now because I'm keeping the garage warm. We'll leave it for now, and then I'm just going to move into some of the other wiring stuff. Alright, so this is the part of the day where it looks like I'm going backwards, but really I'm moving forwards here. I've ripped the whole dash out. You can see all the parts down there. The reason I did this is because the fuel gauge and the temperature gauge both stopped working when I was test driving the car the other day. And I suspected that was something with the wiring and not with the gauges or the sending unit or the temperature stuff like that, because they were working beforehand. And I was right. When I pulled the gauge out, or the gauge cluster out, this is the circuit board from the back of it. It's like your clock goes here, temperature, fuel, speedometer's over there. I noticed this resistor was totally burnt out, destroyed, goner, but the wires, if I flip it over on the back side, which I don't think I'm going to do, the wires are still intact. So this is still savable, which we're going to try and do. We're going to try and keep that intact. I've ordered a new resistor. We're going to replace that. It'll be all good. And then also, I've decided to replace the thermostat on the engine just to be extra safe, to make sure that, you know, everything with the cooling system works and it's all good. I've got the car jacked up. I've got that on loose. I'm going to pull that off, drain the coolant, fill it back up, and then we're going to idle the car up for half an hour maybe, just to see if we can get everything working again. Okay, so here's what I've got. I got in a resistor here. This is a 220 ohm resistor. I think it's supposed to be 230 ohms. When I measure from this point and you trace the wire through the resistor to this transistor here, I'm reading 230 ohms of total resistance, so I think it should still function and work out. What I'm going to do is put the dash back together, put it back in the car, and check, just turn the ignition on, check the fuel gauge should work, and if the fuel gauge works, it should be all good. So I'll show you that when I get it all done. Alright, old thermostat out, coolant all drained, pretty easy job. It's just, if I can get it out of my bucket. 2 bolts on that little collar right there on the bottom of the engine. Pops right out, drain all the coolant out. Didn't spill too much, so I'm feeling proud of myself. We're going to take this inside and temperature check it. Just put in some boiling water and see if it opens up, just for funsies. And then we'll slap the new one in and we'll be good to go. I took off the door handles for the rear doors because they were stuck closed. And if you look, both of these, the plastic parts inside of them have snapped. So I've ordered new door handles. And then back on the car, I just left them off. So you can kind of stick your finger in there and find the tab. And you should be able to open it. It's hard with one hand. I'll take you onto this side. Again, just like this. This door's not closed yet. And basically, these were locked closed like that, right? Remember, they were closed, and these handles on the inside weren't functioning either. So what I had to do is, while the door was closed, sneak an Allen wrench around, and then push down on this little tang right here until the door popped open. And then once I had them open, I could take the handles off and fix them. Now, in typical fashion, when I got both these doors opened, I discovered that this one has a broken hinge. So I'm pushing on it just kind of lightly right now, but it's resisting moving. So if we look down here, this hinge, you can see the rust right up there. This one has kind of ripped off. So I'm gonna need to take that out and borrow someone's welder and weld that shut. The other stuff I worked on yesterday, I didn't do a lot. I got this fan back on. I think it works now. I kind of tidied up the wiring here just with some zip ties. I left that open for now because I think I'll have to dig into it. I fixed one nasty connection that was here and put some tape on a wire down there. So I'm just kind of working on tidying that up. And then I'd gotten in down under there into the fuse panel, which you can kind of see. And the fan relays, I pulled it off and bypassed it, just shorted it out to make sure that all the wiring's good for the fan, which it is. And then I ordered another fan relay just in case that one doesn't work. We're making some slow progress on the Rabbit here. I haven't fired it up in a day or so because I'm trying to keep the garage warm. But I'll probably end up cranking it up again today and letting it idle up to temperature, making sure the fan works. And then also I need to take that door off and fix the hinge on it before I take it anywhere. I'm gonna get back to work. Alrighty, so I fiddled around with the car a little bit more and I'm gonna just start it up again, get it up to temp. Old engines like this, you just gotta run them a little bit to wake them up. It's been 2 days in sub-zero temperature, so this is your cold start for those guys out there. Hopefully I won't have to break into the starting fluid, but we'll see. I've also got the garage door open so I don't suffocate myself with diesel fumes here. So here we go. Well, that's it for this short video I made on the Rabbit. I only had a few days to work on it over winter break, so this is where she's going to sit until she thaws out this summer. I hope you enjoyed watching that. If you did, please give us a like, subscribe, and check out some of the other videos on our channel. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon.